Welcome back to the KickNPost YouTube channel and podcast with your hosts Amal Thompson and Chris Perry. What's good, my boy Chris?
I'm good. Early start to the day, made some money, and now we here doing what we got to do.
All right. I'm going to be honest. We kind of waited a little bit to get into these post-season reviews. AFC North. It was the first division we started with when we were doing the preseason predictions. We did cover all four teams in the AFC North and how we think they'd play out for the year. You could go back on the channel and check those out. But we're here to see how well we know football. I think we did a pretty solid job.
I think we did the best under the circumstances given. There's a lot of other narratives that were thrown out there, other situations that arose that we didn't plan for, and we still got pretty close. So I like it.
Yeah. I mean, let's start off with the division champs, the Cincinnati Bengals.
Are you surprised?
I think you were pretty spot on. No.
Oh, okay.
I also had them. Actually, I had them tying to win the division, but we will get into that later. But which ironically, didn't that technically happen?
No, we definitely won the division. We just couldn't win the conference.
You won the division, but it was something with the playoff game, right? Because of what happened?
Because we played one less game. Let's say, for example, if we would have lost to the Ravens week 18, they would have been 11-6, and we would have been 11-5. So then,
so that's how. Okay. But yeah, like you heard, they played one less game. 12-4 was their actual record. Chris had them at 13-4.
Would have been.
Which everything's shaping up in that game with one drive. I know it was only one drive, but I agree with Chris on this one. I think they were on their way to winning that game against the Bills.
No question.
I had them 12-5. And the biggest difference we had, actually, I think, was that Bills game. I had them losing to the Bills. So
yeah. Which is like, that's why the timing of that is so crazy, because at the beginning of the season, we both knew that would be like a critical point for both teams. And then it was the biggest moment.
You might even be able to find a clip on the previous vid of us really discussing how important that Bills game was going to be.
Too important.
But, yeah, we didn't expect the level of importance that happened. We expected to stay on the field.
Yeah.
But yeah. Bengals did what they were supposed to do. They stayed healthy for most of the year. Defense played well. Offensive line did not play as advertised. I think you would agree with that.
Yeah, as advertised. Yeah, it wasn't bad, but it was supposed to be a lot better.
It was supposed to be greatly improved. And I will say that it took a step back to begin the year.
Yeah.
They figured it out a little bit after about game 6. But yeah, it was nothing like what we were expecting based on the additions that they had in free agency. Jamar Chase dealt with injury, came back. T. Higgins had an okay year. Tyler Boyd kind of had a step back kind of year as the third receiver, but everything was okay. And Mixon had his good days, and Mixon had some bad days. But the offense as a whole clicked and made it to another AFC Championship game, and it was just not in the cards for them to make it.
I wouldn't even say it was in the cards to make it. It's just the same thing I've been saying all year. The same reason why I didn't believe in the Ravens. The biggest issue for teams later down the stretch is just being healthy. Like in the playoffs, the healthiest, the hottest, they tend to win. Now we were hot, but we had 3 starting linemen out when we need them the most. So that did play on our downfall. We weren't able to adjust, and then a man named Chris Jones took over. So can't be mad.
Yeah, really that boy had a day.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bengals winning the division. We had that. I'll move on to Pittsburgh next.
Yeah.
They finished 9-8. All we were advertising in the Pittsburgh vid was this would be the first year in a very long time that they'd be under 500.
Yeah.
Chris, I think you had them 7-10.
I did. That's close.
I had them 8-9. But we both thought that that reign of consistency at least would end, and they proved us wrong to an extent. They were 9-8, so I was a game off.
Yeah, they barely made the cut, but they made it.
Yeah,
kudos.
But they did it. They were over 500. We saw some solid things out of Kenny Pickett this year.
Yeah, I like what I saw.
The offensive line was abysmal.
As that line Najee was as advertised. We knew that was going to be like that.
Yeah, we knew that was going to be the issue. That's why we had them losing this many games. Najee had a year where he stepped back, and a lot of people got on his case about how he was running the ball. He kind of strengthened up at the back end of the year, but again, behind that line, it's a tough ask when you already have a rookie quarterback and weapons who are trying to figure out how to play with each other for the first time. Deontay Johnson had probably the unluckiest year of a wide receiver. I think he had the most targets for a wide receiver without a touchdown in a season. Not stats you really want as a receiver, and he seems to be a little bit disgruntled about the situation in Pittsburgh, so that's something to watch. But yeah, Pittsburgh defense still elite, was able to keep them afloat even after losing T.J. Watt for a lot of the year, and T.J. Watt is still him. And of course, Mike Tomlin's still getting the job done as a coach. And at 9-8, there's a lot of things to be excited for as a Pittsburgh fan. I think George Pickens' ascension will continue going into next year. And if they could really find pieces for the offensive line, man, I feel like they'll be right back in the mix.
Yeah, Tomlin knows it. I know it. You know it. And they're just doing it the right way. Like, they know they can't invest heavily right now because they don't have the money. They don't have the draft capital to move up and get like a lockdown tackle like you saw in this draft. So they just take the pieces that they can while they can. So it's like they draft Pickett, great first round pickup, mid to end of the round. Like, they didn't pay extra to get him. So I like that. But we knew that they needed linemen. So it's like, I think this is going to be the year where they do that, especially looking at early mocks. There's not too many linemen going early because there's a lot of defensive focus, DBs, QBs. So, like, we're in the same boat. Like, we're going to get really good talent, like, lineman-wise, in the back end of the round, which is, like, it's just a part of the process. You know, don't force it. Do what you can in the free agency and then fill your gaps in the drafts and then just keep it moving. So they're just following along that path. It's going as planned. I don't know if it's next year is where they turn the curve, but, like, I do have them within the next 2 years figuring that out.
Yeah, I think I have my eyes really set on what happens with Deontay Johnson in the offseason.
Yeah, I think he's gone. That's just me, though.
Yeah, if he's out of there, then of course they're gonna have to invest a pick in a wide receiver. And this, honestly, this wide receiver class, there's a lot of gems out there.
Yeah, it's pretty deep.
I wouldn't say it's as deep as last year at the top end, but I will say there's guys who are gonna go further in the draft that have a lot of potential.
Yeah.
A favorite of Teal and Steele's, I know me and Matt have been on this one. A.T. Perry, I have not seen on any mocks. I would love them to add him in Pittsburgh.
Is that buddy from SMU?
But, no, he's Wake Forest.
Okay, I gotta check him out. I have no idea who that is. So
he's a big body guy, not really a speedster at all. His hands are okay. They've been called questionable. He has some drop issues.
You'd like him to go to Pittsburgh?
He's a big body guy, and yeah.
Okay, I mean, they usually like big body receivers.
Like day 3.
Yeah.
It would be like day 3, day 4. So
I can see it.
But yeah. And I know in terms of like coaching up receivers, there's not many out there like Pittsburgh who can turn a guy from, fringe or raw to what we've seen year after year after year with the ABs and the Jujus and the Pickens and the Deontays.
One year Juju. Ain't no Jujus.
He had a second year there that was okay.
Yeah.
I mean, look at compared to the first 2 years in Pittsburgh to the last 3 years he's played.
I just look at the years compared to playing next to AB and the years compared without AB.
Fair point. All right, Cleveland.
Cleveland. As advertised, always going to let you down. Amal was a little bit more hopeful, but not too far off. I had him at 8 and 9. I didn't have them at 7 and 10 initially, but I did switch a game around, so that is my fault. But what'd you have them at?
9 and 8.
Yeah, so it's like the end of the season, 7 and 10. I thought Watson would take like 2 to 3 games to get in the groove and like be normal. Clearly wasn't the case. But like close but no cigar. Like, I'm not mad with it.
I think I had this record set, and I think I did say it in the video. Please, we might have to look for the clip. But I think I said we would have to restructure this based on how many games he missed.
Yeah.
I think when we initially did it, we had him missing about 4 to 6 games.
How many did he end up missing?
If I am not mistaken, it was 10 games.
10? Okay. So
Yeah. So I would have revised it a bit. I think I'd be closer to the actual, but it was still very disappointing for when he did come back.
Oh, it was ugly. It was ugly.
It wasn't. They honestly they played better. I don't think this is wild, but they played better for a bit with Jacoby Brissett at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, because he had a whole offseason with the team.
They looked more organized. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They looked more organized.
Like he practiced.
You knew what to expect at the offense, and when Jacoby Brissett played out of his mind, it was such a huge elevation, right? Yeah. When Deshaun got back, you started running the offense like Deshaun Watson was Deshaun Watson off jump, and when he underperformed, it hurt the team so bad.
Yeah, but I
And
wouldn't
when,
say hurt the
yeah,
team, but it's an investment in the team because you got to get through these wrinkles. You got to iron out the creases. He's either going to do
yeah.
this
But I
now
mean, for
or
this
later.
year's record, it was
Yeah, but this year was a wash
it
anyway.
was
I don't
this.
think anyone in
Yeah,
Cleveland was thinking championship besides everybody on Twitter.
yeah.
Like,
There's some people on Twitter who thought they were dark horses.
yeah, never was a dark horse. That defense should be top 3. Hasn't even cracked top 5. I could argue not even back in top 10, and they have playmakers everywhere. So that's a key issue. And then secondly, they have to implement a legitimate system. I don't care what players you throw out there. You have to have the rapport. You got to be on the same page. You got to have the coaching along with it. So many pieces other than quarterback. And unless you are Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady, there's so many other pieces than just quarterback that have to work in order for a team to be like good as fuck. So
Yeah, no argument here. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt kind of semi did their thing. Kareem Hunt did take a bit of a step back.
a couple steps.
Yeah, Njoku had his games, but kept dealing with injury. But when Njoku was hot, he was hot.
I like him.
If you still like tight ends in fantasy, he's a guy that you'll be looking at going into next year. That we've been kind of up and down on over his career.
Yeah, he's looking like he could end up being
Peoples-Jones,
like Evan Ingram
mini
was this
breakout.
year.
Yeah, he might be that. He might be this year's Gerald Everett if he could stay healthy.
Yeah.
But Donovan Peoples-Jones had a little bit of a breakout. We saw our buddy from Penn State, I forgot his name, get on the field, do a little bit of things.
You mean
the rookie?
Purdue? I think with the Purdue, David Bell.
Yeah, Purdue, my bad.
Yeah.
He got on the field, did a little bit of things. Again, rookie year, tough to really, make a good judgment on how good he is yet. But I liked what I saw when he was able to get on the field and contribute.
Yeah.
They still need that guy, I think, at wide receiver.
Excuse me?
To pair up with Deshaun Watson. Yeah, like obviously Amari Cooper is a beast, but like I would like them to add another guy. Put it that way.
Well,
Amari Cooper had a great year. By the way.
I think they did. Like, I don't think Donovan Peoples-Jones is that guy. I do think he's a upgrade from what Will Fuller used to be, but I still believe in David Bell. Like, once you give him the offseason to really get one-on-one with Deshaun, you're gonna invite him to the crib, get a couple beforehand, and go out in the backyard.
Chill. We don't need the just get a massage gun.
Yeah, get a massage gun.
Yeah.
Go in the backyard, throw some couple balls with each other. It's gonna be good sightings. Like, it's just that. Like, they weren't able to get a consistent look at QB. He had to practice with Brissett for all off season, first 10 games, and then you throw out a new quarterback, and it's like you have a way better quarterback, a little bit better balls. Like, you got to get used to that, But like David Bell on the other end wasn't the best rookie. He was pretty bad for a rookie. So, or not pretty bad for a rookie. I had high aspirations.
One or two games.
Yeah.
I didn't have that high of aspirations. The measurables showed that he was way behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody started giving him the Amon-Ra St. Brown talk.
Nah.
Oh, look how bad his measurables were, and look what he turned into. David Bell was never the route specialist that Amon-Ra was at USC.
Not at all.
Right? David Bell was supposedly winning on athleticism at Purdue, and then when you went to the combine and saw that the athleticism wasn't there, then what? This is the NFL.
Yeah.
Maybe he could carve a rollout where he's kind of, worked on the routes in the off season, play the slot heavily or something. But he has to build some serious type of rapport with Deshaun Watson to really sway me to think that he could be the wide receiver 2 out there in Cleveland.
Well, yeah.
Me personally, I think Cleveland will be approaching the draft, looking for another guy to add to the wide receiver core. You have Deshaun Watson. You paid him fully guaranteed money. Your defense has a lot of money on that side already. Your offensive line is still top 10 in the league. So you approach it with what is our greatest weakness, and unfortunately, it is the skill positions at the wide receiver spot. So I feel like they'll add somebody. I don't think it'll be day 1, but I think it'll be day 2.
Well, it depends on who's available. If you can get ridiculous talent at that spot, then you would be idiotic not to take it and be like, oh, we just wait till tomorrow. And it's like, no,
I mean,
don't force it.
Would you be upset if they took Buddy out of Boston College?
Who's Zay Flowers?
Yeah.
I'd be highly upset. I'd be extremely upset.
Because you want him?
No, because we can't guard that. That's the issue. We can't.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's guys like that who might slide to day 2.
Nah, Zay Jones or Flowers not sliding to day 2. It's not.
Well, he'll slide to the middle of the draft, and guess who's there?
You're right. But that's the thing. I do think at least
That's what I'm saying.
I think at least
like,
3 receivers go this first round. And I do think a couple teams trade up to get one. Just depends. Like I said, depends on who's there. Because
I mean, we're eventually going to do a video on wide receiver prospects, running back prospects. We have this all planned out. And there's guys like Jackson Smith and Jigba who's getting mocked at the back end of the first. I don't think you want him in the division either.
I see some mocks having him going to L.A. right now, to the Chargers.
I've seen mocks having him going to Kansas City, but that was when Kansas City was at like 25.
He ain't going to no Kansas City. They don't need receivers. I'm good.
That's all they need.
They don't need receivers.
What do you mean? They need receivers. Anyway,
another topic. My bad.
Another topic. I don't want to get too deep. We could go down that rabbit hole and it could get into pre-draft talk, but let's stick on topic. Ravens. This one hurt. I don't care. I had the Ravens at 12-5. I don't know how much you had them at.
10-7.
10-7. Kris was on the money. Of course, I was 2 wins off. But look, I had a Ravens Super Bowl futures ticket. I keep bringing this up in videos. I knew if this team was able to stay healthy, and we could have seen the combination of Rashad Bateman, Mark Andrews, healthy J.K. Dobbins. I mean, like above 70% J.K. Dobbins, Lamar, all on the field at the same time. This offense would be electric. I don't think those 4 players played one snap together this year. I don't know for certain, but when Rashad Bateman was on the field, J.K. Dobbins was still out. Mark Andrews went out when J.K. Dobbins came back, and Rashad Bateman was already out at that point. And then Lamar was out for the back end of the year as well.
Yeah.
Like, the totality of their offense never got a chance to get going.
It was
the entire year.
It's just on brand. It's just Baltimore's brand of football. Every year.
It's a repeat of 2021. Yeah.
It's every year at this point. It's on the resume. This is what they do because of the type of football that they play. This is what happens. So, congratulations, Baltimore.
So at least reason to pause because now we go into the off season. Rashad Bateman isn't happy. He called out the GM on Twitter.
What do you say?
We're talking about don't really throw us under the bus. It's not about the receivers. It's about you guys not having faith in the players you pick or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, like it was kind of wild because the GM said something about not having wide receiver depth or something, or like not having the wide receivers or something like that.
But you drafted him though.
Yeah, you take care of that, sir. Like that's like me being at work and being like, oh, well, I don't have, like, I'm the guy who orders supplies, and I'm like, well, if I had the supplies, yeah, you take care of that.
Yeah, like, that's your department. Do it.
That's your job. But, yeah,
wow.
They got into a little bit of a, Twitter beef with that. J.K. Dobbins, we're hoping will be back to 100% because 85% J.K. Dobbins looked great at the back end of last year. Not even 85%. I say 75%. Burst, agility, and he was running awkwardly. You could tell he was still trying to, like, find his way. It didn't feel natural, right?
Yeah, it was scaring me. Like, he was moving, but, like, you could see that was, like, he ain't moving.
He was moving, but you could see that it was not, like, healthy moving.
So. And
he was moving. So imagine when he actually gets himself right again. Crazy. Ravens line underperformed. They still made it work. Lamar got hurt. And, of course, they brought in Lamar Light. And he was able to do okay.
You ain't say Lamar Light, bro.
He is Lamar Light. He is Lamar Light. They literally went out there and got a guy who could do some of the things Lamar can do, just not as well.
Okay. You're right. No, you're right.
Exactly.
I'm mad that you're right, though.
Mark Andrews got hurt.
Yeah, he did.
And we knew what that was going to do to the offense, obviously, with no Rashad Bateman, no Mark Andrews. And then when he came back, he wasn't the same guy. So things just fell apart. And they were a win from being in the playoffs.
Wait, what?
Or did they make it?
They made it. We played them in the first round. Come on,
okay,
you can't forget
they were a win from
the little stick over,
having a
Sam
home
Hubbard,
game. Yeah, the Sam Hubbard. Oh, yeah, that's the game where he tried the little jump stuff. I thought that was the last game. I forgot. Yeah. It's because they played back-to-back weeks. It confused me.
Yeah, Lamar Light fucked it up, but yeah.
Yeah, Lamar Light didn't, yeah. Well, I mean, let's be honest, though. Lamar trying to sneak in the red zone has been Fumble City, too, so.
The only difference between this and Lamar can do that. Tyler Huntley called his own number and was like, F it, I'm finna get it done. And then Sam Hubbard was like, hold up, I'm gonna get it done.
Yeah, he kind of said, get that crap out of here.
Yeah.
Ravens this offseason, man, can y'all, like, just be healthy. Because people talk about Rashad Bateman not being it. I saw glimpses of Rashad Bateman being the guy for him.
Oh no, Bateman's
He had a
nice.
couple games out there.
He's nice.
Yeah, I like Bateman. And then in a fantasy perspective, I like the discount I'm going to be able to get on this man this year. Because he's still young.
Yeah.
And people are going to be off of him completely.
Yeah, 100%.
Even worse if Lamar moves.
Well, it's an investment.
If Lamar moves and they go get a throwing quarterback, which no disrespect, Lamar, but they get like a traditional throwing quarterback, like a guy who fits stuff in windows, Rashad Bateman's a crispy route runner. So we'll be able to see that aspect of his game get unlocked a lot more. A lot of what we saw this year was Bateman get open, Lamar hit him in stride, and he taking balls deep. We'll be able to see a little bit more of the Keenan Allen side of Bateman if you get a guy who's fitting in tight windows. Because he's a route specialist.
Yeah.
He'll get to an open spot, find the zone, get you some receptions that way. PPR guide. But
I do think Bateman was right, like what you said on Twitter with like the guy in the organization saying they don't have the right receivers or whatever, which is, like I said, it's his fault. Because if you have like a triple option run first offense, you're going to want to have bigger bodied, able blocking receivers. And Rashad Bateman's not that. Like Sammy Watkins wasn't that.
Not at all.
Like
Not
you
at
got
all.
a track star from
Marquise
Texas.
Brown wasn't that.
Yeah, Marquise Brown wasn't that. So it's like, if that's what you mean, let's say going to the draft, you see like a Quentin Johnson on the board where he's like a big bodied, like he can move a little bit, can also play receiver. It's like, yeah, that fits your system. But it's like if you're going to draft like Marquise Brown, you're going to go and get like Rashad Bateman, you have to switch the offense up to predicate their game, Like,
Yeah, they also have Mark Andrews, who's not a bad blocking tight end, but he's not Nick Boyle. Nick Boyle's a better blocking tight end, but he doesn't even get as involved as Mark Andrews does because Mark Andrews is just so much better receiver. You know who'd be a perfect fit for their offense?
who? Like, wait, let me guess.
George Kittle.
Fuck. I was going to say that. But, yeah, like you need like a George Kittle player, and it's like Lamar is so good that he's able to get it done without those type of players, but that's the coaching's issue. If you were to get, like I said, blocking receivers that can also play receiver, like a Debo, like a Quentin, like a Jamar Chase, like people that are good at blocking, and you can run that same system, and then you roll out and just drop back. Like Lamar can throw. Like I hate that people say he can't. I know you didn't say that he couldn't, but go back to his tape in Louisville. Plenty of time he sat in the pocket, felt the pressure, and let it rip. No problem. He's just so good at running that even the Ravens think, okay, then we have to do this to win. And it's like, no, you can win a multitude of ways with Lamar. Like, for example, if Lamar
Lamar
goes
was
to
sitting
Miami,
in the pocket a lot more this year too.
Yeah, because
And they were winning games. It just didn't look as exciting. And from a fantasy perspective, which unfortunately fantasy has changed the way we've kind of looked at football, his scoring came down quite a bit for what he was doing, and people they were off of this form of Lamar, but Lamar was winning games in the pocket.
Yeah, Lamar was winning games. They go back in the pocket because they have Kenyon Drake starting at running back, and at least they were smart enough to not try to win through that. So in that instance, like, I'm not saying don't commit to the triple option, but if you are, then do it the right way. Don't try to take shortcuts. Don't try to get flashy. Like, the triple option's ugly. Go get you a 6'5", 300-pound receiver, like Kevin Benjamin, off the couch, and have him go out there and block. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't.
What you do is you spend the freaking money and you trade for A.J. Brown.
Yeah, go get you an A.J. Brown. Like, that's what I'm saying.
When they had the opportunity to. Or, like, when you traded Marquise Brown, you should have been asking for D-Hop back. He's not necessarily like a blocking guy, but he's a big body receiver that you could make mistakes, and his catch radius will kind of make you look good as a quarterback.
Or even as that, D-Hop requires a double team. It doesn't that, we would like to double team. He requires. So that alone, his presence alone helps every other aspect of the offense. And it's like, yeah, get you one of those, but they haven't, and then they make excuses like, oh, our guys just aren't getting it done. It's like, you're not putting the right guys in to get it done. Like, I'm sorry. You're not going to use a screwdriver to hammer a nail. I'm sorry. It'll work, but why are you doing that? Go get you a hammer and hammer that boy in. Simple.
At 10-7 with Lamar, which people are saying like franchise tag him. They don't understand, like, the money is so big for quarterbacks right now that tagging people don't make sense.
No.
You can't really franchise tag a quarterback unless your plan is to pay him in the future anyway.
Well, if you plan to try to get a deal, if you think the next year is going to be a little bit of a fall off, then yeah, you can like save like $10 million, if that. Like, okay, we'll give you a lesser deal. You didn't perform, but it's like that's like you're saying the market's going up. So I think the risk reward on that, if you think you have your guy, pay him, Because if you're going to pay him anyway, then the price is going to go up. But if you don't think that's your guy and you really hope that he has an off year, then why are you hoping your guy has an off year? Like, what's the goal of your organization at that point?
That's a fact. That is a fact. And Dak getting hurt on the franchise tag is going to make a lot of guys go, I'm not playing on that shit.
Yeah.
Right? So you look at it, and there's already steam building up that Lamar might end up in Atlanta.
Oh.
And if that's the case,
I love that. I can get my first Lamar Jackson jersey. I'm loving it.
Yeah. All I'm saying is, if that's the case, then the Ravens' prediction for next year is going to change drastically, and they'll be looking in the draft for someone. Obviously, if they make that move and trade Lamar, Atlanta has their pick for this year, right?
Do they?
I'm assuming
not too
that
sure.
first-round pick will be coming back. And I think it would be a top 10 one, if I'm not mistaken. So if they have their pick and it's a top 10 one, the Ravens would be approaching the draft looking for a quarterback.
Yeah, Atlanta has the 8th pick.
So, yeah, you're looking at potentially a Will Levis level quarterback?
No.
Or Will Levis?
No. AR-15. They the only quarterback the Ravens are able to draft, AR-15.
AR-15 is a top 5 pick now.
Did he perform at the Combine already or no?
Nah, he did not. But,
Okay.
his betting odds went from plus, 24,000 to plus 750 to be the number 1 overall pick now.
That don't mean nothing.
The hype has gotten ridiculous. The highlights have been dropping. The fantasy guys have been on Twitter chirping. The people with the measurable talk. Biggest arm in the draft. Best athlete at quarterback in the draft. Just a small portfolio of what he did in college, but you see the raw talent. He just needs the right coaching.
Yeah, and the right system.
Josh Allen comparisons are coming out now.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
It's up, unfortunately. If you're an AR-15 fan, it's written that this man is probably a top 5 pick now. Me personally, no.
I think the only team that should draft him is the Ravens. That's the only team I can see him being successful in.
I don't want them to draft him. I think the only team that I'd be okay with drafting him, I don't think any of these top teams would do him justice. I think him going mid to late first round would be way better for him, for his career. But unfortunately, that's not how it works out. I don't think Carolina should take him. I don't
like
think
Carolina.
Vegas should take him.
Don't like Vegas.
I really don't think Houston should take him.
No one should go to Houston.
I don't think the Bears are gonna take him.
They're not.
I don't think any of the guys up here have the coaching or the pedigree to give Lamar, to give AR what he needs to grow in the NFL as a passer.
Yeah.
All these people just drop him in and kind of hope that he's a raw version of Cam, which no. He is way beneath that. So he needs help. He needs that added tutoring and tutelage for at least a year or two. And any of these spots that he lands in, he'd be getting dropped in and being told to go off a rip. And maybe I just don't believe in the kid because of what I saw in college, but that throwing motion's a little bit janky to me. And I feel like accuracy-wise, he has a lot to learn. And in the NFL, it's all about where you're putting the ball and how accurate you are with it. You can't take it's a little bit off, but my guy will make a play. No, the windows are super small.
Well, in his case, he can because the way he can extend the plays, how he can move. He's not going to just sit back in the pocket and have to dot up the whole field. He can run out a little bit.
No, but look at even Deshaun
bigger.
Watson when he was doing that. He was still dotting on the move. Or if you look at Josh Allen, even if it's a little bit off, it's still within the windows. He's still dotting on the move.
Yeah, all I'm saying is his window
move.
is a little bit bigger than, let's say, Zach Wilson's window that he has to hit. You feel like it's just because of the way he plays. He does have that room for leverage, which is why teams would take the chance on him because of what else he brings to the table.
But listen to the teams I just listed. Outside of Vegas, which team has a guy that you put it in and it's not the exact window and they're going to make a play for you? I love DJ Moore, but he's not that type of receiver. He's a lot more finesse and then yak. He's not really like a Devontae Adams where just put it somewhere in the vicinity and it's his.
Well, that's why I say it's going to be mostly on the system. Because like you said, in Carolina, we don't even know their system. We don't know what they're trying to do. But like a team, go back to the Ravens, we know that their main objective is on the ground. We know he's dominant on the ground. JK is dominant on the ground. Those two are set in stone. Now, when you go to play action, it's going to help him a lot because of how he moves. Therefore, once he rolls out, and he has Mark Andrews and hopefully Bateman and another receiver, it's like your window's a little bit shorter because Rashad Bateman is like a killer slot receiver. He's quick and he can get open within half a second, like just off a little shake and bake. Whereas like that window is wide open. Whereas like, let's say if you have him drop back and then Rashad Bateman has to run like a 10-yard post and then you have the corner and the safety gaining on the same time, you have to hit that little window. It's like if you have him drop back on a drive 10 times doing that, it's going to be the shortest drive. You probably get 3 of those in a drive and you're punting the ball. Like you have to get creative. You have to be open. You have to move and maneuver. And that's the type of offense that's going to like beat to his advantage. For example, like let's say if he went to San Francisco, he would be successful there. But there's no job open in San Francisco. So
Pittsburgh,
I don't know. I don't know about Pittsburgh.
he has the weapons. He has a running back. The offensive line isn't the best, but I trusted Mike Tomlin and that coaching staff to get him where he needs to be. You know who he'd kind of end up being over there?
Who?
Ben Roethlisberger light, but like
Don't stop with this light
mobile.
shit. Stop. They had Michael Vick over there too.
yeah.
You didn't think of Vick? You forgot about that?
But Vic didn't actually get to play like that over
He
there.
played. He was an older Vick, but he was playing over there. What you mean?
Not for long. He played like 4 or 5 games for him, no?
Yeah, I'm just saying the way we saw Vic was like how have him drop back, dot up the field. And Vic could do that. Vic had an arm on him still. I don't think AR can do that yet. And if he's gonna be forced to do that next year, he's gonna look ugly. But if he can sit a year or two and like get the process, then by all means, I trust it.
Well, if you're going top 5, sitting is not really in the cards for you. So
Yeah.
I wish him the best. But honestly, I was way higher on him fantasy-wise and career-wise when he was getting projected back into the first. Now they're talking some wild stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna just wait it out and see. Obviously, if you get that draft capital, I gotta spend that draft capital to see what you'll be too.
For sure.
But that's a talk for another day. This has been the AFC North postseason recap. We know football a little bit. That's what this showed me on the first one. We're going to come back and cover the rest of the divisions, of course. Figured we'd start with AFC North, though, because that's what we started with. And it has the Bengals, you know, Chris's team. And they went crazy. But let's just say the next one we talk about, I might be a little bit hyped, too. Just saying.
Might be.
I'm just saying. Just a little bit. But anyway, we'll catch y'all on the next one, boys. Thanks for the support. See y'all next time. Peace.